Well, we saw that Trump didn't sign that bipartisan housing bill because he's trying to legalize his election theft. But fortunately, one state is taking action when it comes to our country's housing crisis, and that state is Louisiana. Because in America's poorest state, where nearly 1 in every 5 residents lives below the federal poverty line, in the face of rising costs, wage stagnation, and ever increasing pressure on the middle class, lawmakers in Louisiana decided the answer to homelessness should be fines, jail time, and yes, even hard labor. Governor Jeff Landry signed a law that makes unauthorized camping on public property a crime. The first conviction can mean a fine of up to $500 or 6 months in jail. A second or later conviction can mean up to $1,000 and 1 to 2 years in prison, with or without hard labor requirements. So, if you don't have a home, the state can charge you a bunch of money that you don't have, then jail you for not having that money because the economy denied that money to you, and then they will put you to work for free. And yes, I know this is just a story about Louisiana, but you know how this works. This is the pilot program. This is a template that other states will copy once the national right-wing machine decides that cruelty can be rebranded as urban cleanup. And yes, the timing here matters. After the Supreme Court's Grant Pass decision opened the door for punishment of people sleeping outside, and Trump's executive order that tells federal agencies to favor places that enforce camping and loitering bans, states like Louisiana got the message. The message wasn't house people, it was to punish the visibility of poverty. The Trump White House, they've got the same cleaning philosophy that I have when guests are about to arrive at my house. Don't actually fold that pile of laundry. Just shove it in a closet where no one will see it. And the problem, it doesn't go away. The laundry doesn't go away. The people and the laundry just get hidden. They get moved from a sidewalk to a jail cell, to a court program, to a debt collector, to unpaid labor. It's dead end after dead end after dead end. Their suffering gets moved just far enough out of sight for a politician to be able to hold a press conference in front of a clean-looking block and pretend they solved something. And Trump and his whole Law and Order cosplay club love this. They love this stuff because it lets them say that the city looks better without asking whether any human being is actually better off. Oh, and of course, this does have a racism angle because it's the GOP these days. It is being reported that black residents make up roughly 30% of Louisiana's population, but also 60% of the state's unhoused population. So when the state builds a punishment cycle around homelessness, that punishment cycle doesn't land evenly. And I've already seen the comments. I've seen this already out there. Defenders saying, no. This is about compassion. We're getting people off the streets and connecting them to services. We're making treatment available. Just please ignore the jail sentence. It's compassion with handcuffs. And look, I do get it. Local governments, they're frustrated. Encampments can create real problems. People are struggling with addiction, mental illness, trauma, unemployment, medical debt, and rents that seem to be priced by a cartoon robber baron. And residents, we all want better parks and sidewalks that we can use. Business owners want to be able to get to their storefronts. So no one has to pretend that everything's fine. But criminalizing homelessness gives the government the appearance of action without the expense of solving anything. Housing someone costs money. Treating someone costs money. Outreach costs money. Case management, shelter beds, mental health infrastructure, it all costs money. So when it comes to the unhoused population, the boring adult answer is expensive and slow. And that way the Cruelty Caucus gets to say, what if we just made being poor illegal and called it accountability? But what their short-sighted views seem to forget is that jailing someone is expensive, increasing recidivism is expensive, indigent care is expensive. Taking someone out of the workforce because they're in jail is expensive. But MAGA and the Republicans, they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing this every time. They're going to break the social systems, refuse to fund the repairs, point at the broken people that are produced by their broken system, and demand that the police remove the evidence. And look at the language they use. It gives it away. Disorder, vagrancy, clean streets, public safety. Yet they never ask why wages are low, why rent is insane, why people are getting discharged from hospitals right into the street without treatment, why veterans are sleeping under bridges, or why one medical crisis can wipe out an entire family. You know why they don't ask those questions? Because they would implicate landlords, employers, insurers, hospitals, and politicians, aka donors. Unhoused people can't have someone answer their phones while they go to a city council meeting. Unhoused people can't afford a $300 a plate donor dinner. We're talking about people with money, people with power, people with influence, people that get attention when they show up to those city council meetings. That's who we cater to. The guy that lost everything and has to live in a tent, he doesn't get the same welcome mat. And by the way, this hard labor requirement, that part, it's cruel. That should make everyone stop in their tracks, because Louisiana is saying that a person without shelter can be moved into the criminal system and then forced into labor. And the optics here, it's hard to ignore. It's in the Deep South, in one of the highest incarceration states in the country, with Black unhoused residents wildly overrepresented. So if your alarm's going off and you realize that it's suddenly 160 or so years ago, that's exactly where this is putting us. And that's also why this story has national implications. Not because one Louisiana bill will dominate cable news, it won't. Especially because the people being harmed by the state live in the margins. Homeless people, migrants, prisoners, protesters. The machinery expands without them. And a serious country, they could look at it and say that housing is cheaper than jail, treatment is cheaper than a crisis, and dignity is cheaper than the endless churn of courts, cops, prisons, emergency rooms, and sidewalk sweeps. Yet a cruel country, they say, if you can't afford rent, you owe us $500, and if you can't pay that, you better get to work for free. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, or better yet, hit that bell icon. Because while the mainstream media is ignoring stories like this, we are fighting tooth and nail to make sure you see it.